This is Every Boeing versus Airbus Rivalry Explained, starting with the origin of their rivalry. The year is 1969. As the world celebrates the moon landing, another race begins. Not in space, but in the skies above our heads. On one side, Boeing, the American giant that ruled the jet age with its 707, 727, and the soon-to-be legendary 747. On the other, a bold new challenger from across the Atlantic. Airbus, a European coalition determined to break America's monopoly in commercial aviation. Boeing had history, power, and prestige. Born out of Seattle's innovation boom in the early 20th century, it became synonymous with flight itself. Airbus, meanwhile, was an experiment, a political and industrial alliance between France, Germany, Spain, and the UK founded with one goal: to prove that Europe could build a better airplane. Their first duel came quickly. In 1972, the Airbus A300 took to the skies, the world's first twin-engine wide-body jet. Across the Atlantic, Boeing countered with the 707, the jet that had defined modern air travel. What started as a competition over technology soon became something much bigger, a battle for dominance, pride, and the future of aviation itself. But it wasn't just about who built the better plane, it was about how they built it. Next, philosophy and design differences, where the clash of engineering mindsets begins. While Boeing and Airbus competed for the same skies, they looked at flying through completely different eyes. For Boeing, flying was an art form, something that should stay firmly in the hands of the pilot. Its cockpits were designed around human control, giving aviators full authority and tactile feedback over their aircraft. Every yoke, switch, and dial reflected Boeing's belief: the pilot knows best. Airbus, however, saw the future in automation. Born in an age of advancing computer technology, Airbus engineers believed that machines could handle routine tasks more safely and efficiently than humans. Their revolutionary fly-by-wire system, first introduced in the A320 in the late 1980s, replaced traditional cables and hydraulics with electronic signals. The result? A plane that could prevent pilots from making dangerous maneuvers before they even happened. To Boeing traditionalists, this felt like a loss of control, a cockpit ruled by computers. But to Airbus, it was the future, safer, smarter, and more efficient. These differences weren't just technical, they became philosophical, shaping everything from design language to pilot training. This wasn't just a rivalry of planes, it was a battle of beliefs. And soon, those beliefs would face the ultimate test, in the real-world dogfights of the skies. Next, iconic airplanes and their battles, where legends like the 737, A320, and 747 collide. If the rivalry between Boeing and Airbus were a war, then their aircraft were the weapons. Masterpieces of engineering locked in decades of competition. It began with a short-haul showdown: Boeing's legendary 737 versus Airbus's sleek A320. The 737, born in the 1960s, became the workhorse of global aviation. Rugged, reliable, and loved by pilots. But in 1988, Airbus dropped a bombshell: the A320, the first jet with full fly-by-wire controls. It was lighter, smarter, and could almost think for itself. Airlines were intrigued. Pilots were skeptical. But as fuel costs rose and computers proved their worth, Airbus slowly chipped away at Boeing's dominance. Then came the long-haul duel: Boeing's 777 versus Airbus's A350. The 777, often called the 777, revolutionized twin-engine long-distance travel in the 1990s. Airbus responded years later with the A350, a carbon fiber marvel built for fuel efficiency and quiet comfort. This wasn't just competition, it was leapfrogging innovation. And towering above them all was the battle of giants: Boeing's 747, the queen of the skies, versus Airbus's A380, the double-deck super jumbo that promised to redefine luxury in the air. For a brief moment, Airbus had done it. They'd built the biggest, most advanced passenger plane ever. But times were changing. Airlines no longer wanted massive planes. They wanted efficiency. The A380 was magnificent, but the world had moved on. Every jet told a story of ambition, triumph, and heartbreak. But beyond design and performance, the war would move to another front. One fought not in the skies, but in the boardrooms and trade courts of the world. Next, innovation and technology, where the race to redefine aviation truly accelerates. The rivalry between Boeing and Airbus has always been fueled by one thing: innovation. Both companies knew that in aviation, whoever stops innovating starts falling. In the late 20th century, technology became the new battlefield. Boeing pioneered the use of composite materials and aerodynamic tweaks to squeeze every drop of efficiency from its aircraft. But Airbus wasn't far behind, and when it introduced the A350XWBA, built largely from carbon fiber, it sent a clear message: the old rules no longer applied. The competition pushed both sides to reinvent the modern airliner. Avionics systems became smarter, engines became quieter and more powerful, and cockpits turned into glass panel digital hubs. Airbus leaned heavily into automation, fine-tuning its flight computers to predict and prevent pilot errors. Boeing, while cautious about too much computer control, began integrating similar systems to stay competitive, though that balance would later be tested by the troubled 737 MAX program. At the same time, both companies were forced to confront the growing issue of sustainability. Airlines demanded lower fuel burn and smaller carbon footprints. Airbus responded with the A320neo, while Boeing rolled out the 737 MAX, each promising double-digit fuel savings through advanced engines and lighter material. Every breakthrough led to another, a relentless cycle of invention and imitation. But innovation wasn't just about technology, it was about survival. And survival meant winning the fiercest war yet, not in hangars or labs, but in the cutthroat world of sales, subsidies, and strategy. Next, commercial wars, orders, marketing, and strategy, where billions of dollars and national pride are on the line. If technology was the engine of this rivalry, then money was the fuel, and Boeing and Airbus were burning through it at supersonic speed. Every new aircraft launch meant a multi-billion-dollar gamble. The companies weren't just selling planes. They were fighting for entire fleets, for the loyalty of airlines, and for national pride. Every order placed by Delta, Emirates, or Lufthansa was a victory headline. And every cancellation, a public humiliation. Boeing had the advantage of history and deep relationships with U.S. carriers. Airbus countered with aggressive marketing, flexible pricing, and bold design bets. The A320 family, for example, became a strategic masterpiece, offering a range of models that fit every airline's route network. Airbus didn't just sell airplanes, it sold options. Then came the trade wars. Both companies accused each other of receiving illegal government subsidies, dragging their feud into the halls of the World Trade Organization. For years, the World Trade Organization ruled back and forth. Boeing pointing at European aid for Airbus's A380 and A350 programs, Airbus pointing right back at Boeing's tax breaks and defense contracts. It wasn't just about fairness, it was about billions in competitive advantage. Meanwhile, airlines played both sides, leveraging the rivalry to score record-breaking deals. Boeing's 777XA, Airbus's A321XLRI, and countless special variants became bargaining chips in a high-stakes global chess match. And yet, behind the contracts and press releases, both giants knew the truth. One downturn, one mistake, could shift the balance forever. But even as they fought over today's skies, the real question loomed larger than ever. What about tomorrow's? Next, the future of the rivalry, where electric flight, hydrogen engines, and new players threaten to rewrite the rulebook. As the world races toward a cleaner, smarter future, the Boeing-Airbus rivalry stands at a crossroads. The next chapter of this decades-long duel won't be written in aluminum or carbon fiber, but in electricity, hydrogen, and data. Airbus has already taken bold steps. Its Zero-E project aims to launch the world's first hydrogen-powered commercial jet by 2035, a vision that could revolutionize the industry and silence critics who doubt aviation can ever be truly green. Boeing, meanwhile, is betting on sustainable aviation fuels, believing that incremental change across existing fleets can make a faster impact. Two paths, one destination, zero emissions. But the skies are getting crowded. COMAC, China's state-backed manufacturer, has entered the race with its C919, already certified and delivered to Chinese airlines. Brazil's Embraer continues to dominate regional jets. Even startups in the US and Europe are experimenting with electric aircraft and autonomous flight systems. For the first time in decades, Boeing and Airbus are no longer just fighting each other, they're defending their empires. Yet history shows one thing: competition breeds innovation. Whether it's Airbus pushing hydrogen flight or Boeing perfecting next-gen fuel efficiency, both giants are still driven by the same force that started it all, the relentless pursuit of better flight. So what do you think? Who's winning the rivalry, Airbus or Boeing? Let me know in the comments.